Good morning, Mrs. Higginson. How are you?
How are you?
It's good to see you. Hi, Gabby.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in. So I've brought you here to talk a little bit about Gabby's assessment results from the Wessler Intelligence Test and the Connors Behavior Assessment. And so before I start explaining her results from the tests, I wanted to first go through and explain the reason why we gave her those tests.
Okay.
So we gave her the IQ test because you and your husband requested to have her tested since she's been doing really well in her regular language arts class, and so we kind of wanted to do that just to see if her scores were high enough to bump her up to an honors class.
Okay.
And then we also gave her the Connors Behavior Assessment because her math teacher, Miss Swigert, came to me the other day saying that she's noticed kind of a lack in focus with Gabby in her math class. And so we kind of just wanted to give that to her to see if there was any possibility of anything else like going on.
Okay.
So do you have any questions about the reason why the assessments were given?
I don't think so.
Okay. And Gabby, how do you feel about your performance in language arts?
Good.
Pretty good. So how do you feel like you're bored in your regular language arts class? Like, do you think you would like to move up?
Yeah.
Okay. And then can you tell me a little bit about where your lack of focus maybe is coming from with your math class?
Fractions.
Oh, fractions. Okay. So maybe you just like don't get the fractions, so
Yeah.
you're not really focusing.
And I feel like she has a problem with her story problems just because she doesn't
Right.
focus.
Okay. So maybe some of this stuff is just kind of hard for you, and that's like the reason. Maybe that's what she's noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you for providing some insight on that. So first, before I explain the results from the test, I want you to know that I'm not an expert on these by any means. This was one test that she took on one day, and so we obviously wouldn't be able to like do anything based off of just this one test. We'd have to do like other assessments and follow up with that. So no decisions are going to be made, but I still want to go through with you just the results, and that way you know. So I'll start with the intelligence test.
Okay.
I gave Gabby the Wessler for the children's version, and there's actually 4 different subtests. And so she started with a block design subtest, and then took a vocabulary test, did a matrix reasoning one, do you remember all these? And then the similarities test. And so the block design and the matrix reasoning fall under her total like perceptual reasoning category, which is kind of the mathy side. And then the vocabulary and the similarities fall under her verbal comprehension score, and that was for the language arts e-piece.
Okay.
And so her scores on those, she was actually above average on the vocabulary and the similarities sections, and then she was slightly below average on the block design and the matrix reasoning, but she was still within one standard deviation of the mean, so it's nothing like abnormal. So she was like, she's pretty much right where she needs to be with math, and her language arts scores were a little above average.
Okay.
And so based off of those, we were able to get her percentile rank for each of those. So I'll explain that a little bit because that allows you to kind of see where she is in comparison to others.
Okay.
So for her verbal comprehension, she was in the 66th percentile, which means that for kids her age, she would do as good as or better than 66% of those in her age range.
Okay.
And for her perceptual reasoning, she was in the 30th percentile. So she would do same as or better than 30% of kids her age.
Okay.
And then we can say with 95% confidence that if she were to take this same test again, she'd score between somewhere in that same range, about 10 points within what she got the first time. So fairly close, but there is room for improvement there.
Okay.
And then we were able to get her full scale IQ score as well, which was a 99, and that doesn't really mean anything unless I give you kind of that like norm referenced. So that is a 99 actually puts her pretty much right at average.
Okay.
So based off of those, I think we could conclude that she's probably right where she needs to be. I don't know that we necessarily need to look at like moving her up. I think she probably will do pretty well in the language arts class that
Okay.
she's in. Even though her language arts score were the highest, they weren't like so high that I don't think that she would necessarily be comfortable moving up.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Do you
Yeah.
think you're okay?
Uh-huh.
Maybe just staying where you are for
Yeah.
now? Okay. And what do you think about that? Do you think that
Yeah.
based off of the results?
Yeah, I think maybe giving this year
Mhm.
a try, and
Yeah.
maybe she'll kind of adapt to what she's doing.
Right. And then we could always take it again next year and
Mhm.
see if she wants to, if she feels like she really improves, and then we could look at it again
Okay.
at that point. Okay, awesome. And so then the other test that we did was the behavior one for her math teacher. And I want to give a little background on this one as well because Gabby took it herself. And it was just how many questions were there exactly? There were 97 questions that she had to just kind of circle on like a rated scale, like a 1 through 4, based off of where she thought she fell. So like 4 being always true or 0 being never true.
Okay.
And she completed this in about 7 minutes or so. And this was how she felt over the past month about these things. And so after looking at this, there was really nothing that came up to show that she's got any sort of like attention issues or this actually checks to see if there might be like ADHD, and there was none of that. None of that came up. Really, all of her scores were below the average, which is what we want on this because we want the behaviors to be in the lower range. Because once they start getting above the average, then we actually look at those specific behaviors. And so she was below average in everything, which is really good. So that leads me to believe that there's obviously maybe just something going on, like specifically in her math class that is causing her to lose focus. Like you said, maybe it's just the problems you're working on right now, like the fractions and your mom said the story problems. And your math teacher also said that because you love language arts, you like to get out your book and you like to just read. So maybe that's part of it, is that you don't want to focus on math because you just want to get out your book and read. Do you think that's part of it?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So based off of those scores, again, there's really no cause for concern. And obviously as a counselor, I could never diagnose someone anyways. I'd have to leave that up to like a mental health specialist.
Okay.
But I can just give the assessments and see kind of where we are.
Okay.
Let's see. It was recommended in here that a follow-up be done in terms of anxiety, but it was only based off of one of her questions.
Okay.
And so I don't really think that's a cause for concern either. But that could be maybe part of it for your lack of focus in math, is maybe sometimes you get like nervous about certain problems. And then maybe that causes you to lose some focus, do you think? Do you ever get nervous about
Yeah.
any of the problems? A little bit? Yeah. Is anxiety something that's ever been a problem for you, like in the past? Like
Mhm.
getting like so nervous that you like forget information or anything like that?
Not really, but sometimes.
Okay. But again, overall, there was really nothing to pull from that assessment that we'd need to look into, I don't think. So, in conclusion, I could meet with you on like a weekly basis if you wanted to like discuss ways to like deal with anxiety, if that's something that you would want to do. Or we can have you reach out to her math teacher to just talk with her about ways she could like specifically help Gabby in class.
Okay.
And then you said you're good with just leaving her in her regular language arts class.
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
So then, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up today?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I appreciate you doing this for
Yeah,
us.
thank you so much. And I
Yeah.
appreciate your time and allowing me to come in and talk with you guys about it. So please let me know if there's anything else that you need, and I'd be happy to meet with you.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.